Right, so James, good to talk to you. How is everyone feeling then after the Saints game?
Yeah, I think everyone's in pretty good spirits today. Obviously, we're disappointed with that in some parts of the game, but we're at the point of the year now where you just got to take things on the chin and learn from them, and you can't afford to not be positive moving through the games.
Yeah, Willie was very honest about the performance afterwards. What was the squad like with each other after that game?
Yeah, definitely. At the points in the game, we were pretty honest that some things weren't good enough. We looked at those things and ways we can be better around those. But we're trying to do it in a sort of a positive way, where we can get the point across and sort of be direct, but also not turn against each other.
What needed to be better, do you think, in that game?
I think when we made too many errors coming out of his own end, and against a team like Saints, they're going to punish you, and we were pretty resilient and knocked them off for quite a long time in the first half, but it seemed to catch up with us at points in the second half where we could give some energy and things, but not for full sets and not for full periods, and it sort of got away from us in that 10 or 15 minute period just after half time.
Yeah, Willie mentioned a lot about individuals and individuals making mistakes. You kind of touched upon it a little bit, but did those individuals almost come clean in a way and go, you know what, hands up, didn't get things right?
Yeah, so we've got a pretty good group for things like that, putting your hands up when you've done something wrong or when it's your fault ultimately. And some boys who made some errors have done that, and I'm sure everyone will continue to do that moving forward.
In the first game after a Challenge Cup final as well, as a player, can it have a knock-on effect?
Well, I suppose the honest answer is it can, but that's on you. If you don't get your head around it and just crack on with things, it definitely can. I think we showed enough throughout the game to show that it didn't really do that, and that we're still willing to do the same things and work hard and stay in the systems. It was just ultimately, like you said, the errors and some of the things that happened early on in the game came back to bite us in that second half.
How big a couple of weeks has it been emotionally for everybody?
Yeah, definitely. I think that were it. It was a bit of a rollercoaster sort of at Wembley, as everyone knows, and everyone had the emotion building up to it, and then the last minute try, and then feeling like we could go on and win it, and then to lose like that's horrible. So there were obviously a lot of emotion hanging over that, and then had some disappointment in from this week against St Helens. They definitely needed a bit of a freshen up to move into this week.
Yeah, Willie's just been talking about that, about trying to almost make you forget about it and just remember what you are good at. Do you feel like everybody is feeling a bit brighter today?
Yeah, definitely. We've had a good session out on the field today, real intense and really focusing on us and what we do and making sure that we do what we do best to the best of our ability, and and if we do that, then everything else will take care of itself.
Obviously, the result wasn't what you wanted, but just personally, what was it like for you to be involved in a Wembley final like that?
Yeah, I don't think I've really thought about it yet. I've tried not to think about Wembley at all, to be honest, with the way it ended. But yeah, I'm sure it were all about going there and winning the game. It didn't really matter where it were played or how many fans were there. It was just all about trying to win a Challenge Cup. So I'm sure at some point, probably at the end of the season or whenever that may be, I'll look back on it as quite a special moment.
No, that's fair enough. Recently as well, you've signed a new contract. So congratulations on that. Why did you decide to commit then?
Obviously, I like the direction the club's going in. I think everyone can see the ambition that it has, and that they are putting things in place, not just on the field but off the field, to try and fulfil those ambitions. And I think they sort of align quite well with what I want to do and where I want to go. So that definitely ticked a box. And sort of since day one I've come in, all the players, all the fans, the staff, everyone around the club's made me feel really welcome, and I've definitely settled in well, and I'm really happy and enjoying my rugby at the moment, so I think it's the right place for me.
How much of a change have you seen already just in your short time at the club?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously the club is trying to improve, and it's made no secrets of where it's come from, and it's sort of it's sort of not hiding from that and using that, saying sort of this is where we've come from, this is where we are, and this is where we want to go, which is really good. And not everything's been perfect, and not everything will be perfect, but from what I've seen so far, every time something's been slightly off or whatever, there's been a lot of self-reflection. Right, how can we do better? Right, it's done. What can we do moving forward? So there's a lot of progress that I've seen since my first day here already. Yeah.
It's that whole thing about feeling valued and happy as a player, isn't it, in that regard?
Yeah, definitely. I think, sort of the trust that I've been given by the other players and staffs definitely means a lot to me as well.
How much do you feel you have progressed as a player in your time at the club?
Yeah, I definitely feel I've progressed. I sort of said last year when I was leaving Wakefield, I got to a point where I was playing every week, and I wanted to sort of go to the next level and try and be one of the first names on the team sheet. Sort of playing 80 minutes every week and trying to be sort of an influential player within the group, and I think I'm definitely on course to do that. I've seen some improvements in my individual game as well, and just sort of how I'm progressing overall.
I just wonder, what about working with maybe Brett Delaney specifically as well? What's he done for you? Obviously, he played in a similar position to you.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time talking with Frog. He's a really good bloke, and he's a real good coach as well. He spends a lot of time after games and after training sessions looking at things and giving you clips and pointers and things like that. So we have quite frequent chats about things that have gone on and things that we could think, which has been really positive for me, because, like you said, he played a lot in a similar position. And he was very successful in it as well, and what he did, he achieved a lot in the game over here, and I definitely like to emulate some part of that.
But the things that he's taught you about, have you already started to implement those in games?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of little things that I can see in my performances when I'm looking back at the games and things, which are things that he's mentioned to me, or he's been sort of harping on at me about, and things like that, like he does to everyone. So he's definitely having an impact on me already.
Do you think it's because you play in his position that maybe he's a little bit more on you as a result?
Yeah, I think he's pretty much he's on everyone, and he drives that really well, which is really good. But yeah, definitely, I think he sees things for me in my position which he probably might not see for other people in their positions, because he's not been in their shoes in those positions. So it's a big help for me.
Also, as well for you, just thinking back to the injury you had at Magic Weekend, it looked a scary one at the time, but your recovery seems to have been a lot quicker than expected. What happened?
Yeah, it was a bit weird, really. I went in for the tackle and sort of got it wrong and tried tackling in my head, and just sort of lost the feeling in my body. So I ended up going to the hospital there, and as feeling came back and things, they thought I was going to be all right. So at that point, then I thought I'll be fine. I might play next week, and then fast forward 24 hours, and I'd sort of been rushed into the whole infirmary, and we're in a bed in a brace there, and they said I got some damage to my spinal cord, and I needed some rest. So I ended up spending a good month just sat at home like a lemon with a neck brace on, and then once I managed to see a specialist another couple of times and get some more scans, then they let me come out of it and get back into training.
When you hear them talking about spinal cords, I can only imagine, but what was going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one, really. I was sort of not blasé about it, but I was pretty relaxed about it, and I was just like, whatever's happened, it'll all get sorted, don't worry about it. It was sort of only when I was sat in the bed at the hospital, and sort of family members come in, and they're quite visibly sort of upset and shocked by it, that it really hit me, sort of the seriousness that it was. So at that point, then it was a couple of days of getting made around it, and just trying to get some answers off the doctors, really.
And how are you feeling now? Have you had any side effects at all?
No, I was pretty tight through sort of my shoulders and my neck at first, but I've had no, touch wood, I've had no problems with anything since.
It just seems remarkable, considering how you were at St James's Park and going through all of that you seem to have come through Touchwood so unscathed. How do you process all of that?
Yeah, it would. Like I say, we were a bit of a weird one. It went from thinking as soon as it happened on the pitch, I knew something was wrong. So I thought I'm going to be out, and then thinking I might be fine, and then next time I'm in a brace, it were really weird. I just sort of tried taking it as it comes. With something like that, I've got no experience of it. I've got no knowledge of it. I've just got to sort of hand it over to our physios and the specialists that we went to see, and whatever they tell me to do, I've just got to go with that, and I've gone with that, and thankfully it's got me back a lot quicker than we expected.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's focus on Leigh next then. How much do you use revenge maybe as a motivator in this one after what happened at Wembley?
I think sort of they've probably had the better of us all year. I think if you look at the games, so we definitely owe them one. And I think with it being 2 weeks after Wembley, that one's probably still fresh in people's minds. But we also took a bit of a fair beating over there, and they did us late here before as well. So there's a lot of reasons for us to come out firing this week. But above all else, we've found ourselves in a bit of a scrap for that 6th place. So that's sort of all the motivation we need at the moment, that we want to carry on our season.
When people talk about Leigh, I think a lot of people talk about Lachlan Lamb, but John Asciata is another name that comes up a lot. How big a threat is he in that forward line?
He's massive. I mean, Lachlan Lamb's an unbelievable player, as everyone knows, but if you look at a lot of the space that's created out on that left edge, it's from the good work that John Asciata does in the middle, tying people up and pulling people into positions they don't want to be in. So we've got to do a real good job on him, and then hopefully then it'll be down to me and the edge to look after Lamb.
And finally, first home game since Wembley as well, after what's been as you've already said, an emotional rollercoaster really of a couple of weeks. What will it mean to be able to run out in front of your own fans again?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, obviously they're a special group. There a lot of them went down to Wembley, and they were a real good following over at St Helens as well. To be fair, to say it was 5 or 6 days after the Wembley, all the money people had spent on a Friday night. And we do really appreciate that. But like you said, there's nothing quite like a Friday night at Craven Park. So I'm just hoping, can't wait to get back with them all there, and hopefully they'll be in good numbers.